Certainly, I think first and foremost, all the audience were there, a warm good evening to all of you. And Deepak, going with your question, it's very important that genuinity of the software is a must. So I go with what your question is, that we should be using the genuine software because we have a right to identify ourselves as genuine. Similarly, I think we should have a right to identify that we are using a software also which is genuine. So I go with your question. Yes, we should have genuine softwares. During this COVID time, there have been work from home. In fact, we have been having a hybrid model. And because of this, organizations had to face a lot of issues, a lot of problems. In fact, when I talk about it, I would like to share a couple of cases, where the organization became a victim of using counterfeit, duplicate software just to save some small amount of money. In fact, one of the case what I would like to mention is about a hospital. In fact, it was a hospital which used to take care of the COVID patients. And what this hospital had, they had a network of more than about 150 machines connected. And they did not have their OS operating system updated. And then what they had, even their maintenance contract was over. And so what happened was that they had a ransomware attack. And because of this ransomware attack, what happened was that this COVID-related patients' data, which was there with them, all of this was encrypted. Well, in fact, under the preview of digital, we all would like to become paperless. And this hospital had a management which was very volatile, young generation management. So they also tend to be paperless. And because of which, most of the documents related to the COVID patients, what they had, including their follow-ups, including their medical diagnosis, so on and so forth, was there on the system. And these files were basically encrypted. And there was a ransom attack which took place on few of their machines, which eventually passed on to their network. And then later on, it was just a mayhem. It went to such an extent that this hospital never knew what type of a diagnosis, what type of a medicine, what type of the advisories they have given to the patients, and they started running from pillar to post. In fact, I got a call, in the later part of the evening at about 8:39. And they said, okay, we don't have this information is there in the system, and we had a ransomware attack. So while auditing the network, early morning next day, the system was audited. It was found the ransom attack took place because they did not have their operating system updated from time to time, number one. Number two, they believed that if a software is working fine yesterday, today also it will work fine, which is not the case because at the blink of an eye, there is some new threats which is taking place on the internet space. Number three, they felt that why to invest in technology? They had that type of a laxity in their mind, but never knew that what problems they faced eventually was completely out of control. In fact, I would say that playing with the life of the patients was something the healthcare industry could least get to be expected. And later on, when the auditing of the network was done, they came out and said that what we should do, what patch we should update, how it should be done. Please tell us. We want to get it done within the next 24 hours. What they did not do in 24 months, they wanted to get in 24 hours. That was the complete, the urgency which was shown by it. So this was one of those matters which I handled during this COVID time, where the organization was completely having a laxity by which they had to face the brunt of the relatives of those patients. And of course, God forbid, nothing happened to the patients, but this could have eventually led to a catastrophic problem also. This was one of those which I had where the organization lacks. And second, I had about a bank. And this bank also, it was a cooperative bank, but then about 15 crore rupees was siphoned out from that bank. And when the audit of their system was done, it was found that this attempt to hack their network was done from Nigeria. So the whole blame went on Nigeria, Nigeria, Nigeria. So that was the initial trend. But when the system was audited, when the report came up after 3 to 4 days, it was found that this bank, well, quite a healthy bank, but then about 20-year-old bank in one of the suburban districts of Maharashtra. What eventually came out was that they were having a software which were not legally in their name. So they were using counterfeit software and playing once again with the money of the deposit holders. And then what this money, 15 crore rupees approximately, which was siphoned out from their server, belonged to these poor citizens who eventually, when they started asking the questions, at that time the bank realized that, oh, the synergy, the weakest link, what was there with them was that they used to use a counterfeit software on a private confidential data belonging to the customers, which related to a monetary value. But then all said and done, we were not able to get that 15 crore rupees because the matter is still subjudiced, because all those investigations will take its own course of the time. But who became the victim? The bank itself became the victim, because the bank under the RBI guidelines now has to pay those deposit holders the money, because at the end of the day, they found that the weakest link in that system was the bank using a counterfeit software, which eventually gave a lead to a criminal, to a hacker, to have that money to be siphoned out. That's what I could share about you, the number of cases what I had in the last couple of years, especially during this COVID era. First, the customers have to be aware. See, we have to have, we say right to identify myself. I would be like to be known as Harold Dcosta. I would not like to be known as a proxy Harold Dcosta. That will have an identity, a reference on my, that I would not like to be called as proxy. I would like to call by my name. Similarly, I think the first cyber hygiene practice, what the organization has to do is that they should use authentic software for their reliability. It's not for the reliability of any particular software vendor. It's for their reliability that you should use a software which is of repute. At the same time, it should be a legal one. That's point number one. Point number two, I think the time has come where the organizations, corporates, I'm not only saying organization, corporates, I'm also saying at domestic angle, even at families, at homes also, people should start using the licensed version of the software, because it has got its own number of advantages. Well, I think the previous speakers have given a toll to it at what are the advantages of it. I would just like to bring upon is that if they don't use it, their reliability is at stake. Well, there is a huge upsurge in cyber crimes. What we just read in the newspapers is just a tip of the iceberg. And what eventually happens on the ground is 10,000 times more. And when a person becomes a victim, he doesn't understand that one of those particular leads by which he has become a victim of the cybercrime is using a software which is not a legitimate one. Because by not using a legitimate software, he gives a remote access of his system to a third party who then misuses the account or misuses the system of the victim, and then tries to create a cybercrime, tries to create a fake social account, tries to make some fake bank account, try to create a fake banking, what you mean to say, fake bank account practices. So what I mean to say is that the cyber hygiene practices is a must, and that predominantly should come at the earliest, because there is a hybrid model. People are working from home, and at this result, people should understand that if they want to have cyber crimes to be minimized, if they themselves don't want to become a victim of cybercrime, and then they don't want to become a part of the media, I think the first defense is to use the legitimate softwares. And once they start using it, I can say with my practical exposure on this ground level, you have a chance that 1% of the part you could be victimized, but 99% of the part you could be safe and you could be secure. As of now, we are 10% secure. From 10 to 99%, I think it's a big leap. you cannot give that 1% more leverage. I think we have to give the leverage to that 99% where you would be secured, safe, and you can do a computing at your own reliability with your identity not being stolen. Or otherwise, I can tell you n number of issues where you could be victimized. I feel that in today's context, having a legitimate, genuine software is for the benefit of the user itself. And because of this hybrid model, it becomes more significantly important for it. When you're talking about this counterfeit softwares, because there have been a lot of cases which has happened in the last couple of years, and before that also it has been happening. What is basically being noticed is that people get some certain code which is available on the internet, and then they try to execute that code, maybe as a batch file or something, and then they try to install a counterfeit software on their machine. Now, what really happens is that once this counterfeit software gets installed on the machine of the victim, I would say victim only, I will not say the user, because the moment you are having a counterfeit software to be installed, you become a victim. You are no more the user of it. Within these particular batch files, in 3 to 4 cases, what I observed was that there were some backdoor trojans which were being there. There were some certain programs which were being run within this particular script files. So that goes unnoticingly. That doesn't go to the notice of the victim, because the primary goal of the victim, I would not say the user once again, the primary goal of this victim is to ensure that he gets a free copy version of the software, installs in the system, and feels happy that, okay, fine, I'm using a software, no worries from me. But actually what he has lost is that the whole credentials of his system, he has lost to that person from whom he has got this particular script. Now, there are some certain, I would say evangelists, I would say, who say that, okay, this is the script what we provide to you, pay $1 as a donation to us. And let me tell you, there was one case which came to me just about a couple of months before. There was one guy who just, had a part of a script which he got from the internet, and which he installed on his system, thinking that, okay, he has got a legitimate software installed in his machine. And later on, once that software was installed, it allowed him to click onto a link which was there in that script itself. And when he clicked on that link, he went to a site which was somewhere in Japan. And that guy said, okay, I'm so and so, so and so. Can you please pay $1 as a donation to me? And so he clicked on that link, and as a courtesy, he said, okay, if I'm getting a software worth, some thousands of rupees, what does it make me a poorer by paying $1? So immediately he paid $1. And after paying that $1, it so happened that nothing happened to him for 1 month. A month later, he found that his bank account was being exhausted by the tune of 55,000 rupees. Now, what really triggered the event was that because the card details what he used, that card details was misused by that particular person. And in turn, rather than getting $1, he got almost 55,000 Indian rupees into his account. And let me tell you, by the time this matter could be registered, by the time this matter could come to the force, nothing could be done. So I would say, when this matter came to me, I asked him, why did you do it? He said that for a few thousands of rupees, I did it, thinking that I have vindicated. But at the end of the day, he got lost. 55,000 rupees was lost from his account, number one. And number two, when we are trying to find out that link, we found that even when the card details were being deleted, still the card details were not getting deleted from the system. And we had to give a standing instruction to the bank later on to ensure that the next time the debit card shall not be used for having these transactions to be done. So I believe that there are certain laid down case studies now in front of the people. And in spite of this, if they have such type of a software to be used in their machine, thinking that they save some few dollars, few thousands, but those scripts in turn are dangerous. They are potential backdoors to your system, where not only taking your confidential data, confidential information from your system, but they can make you potentially financial weaker. And that's the reason I've been telling that use legitimate software, because it is the responsibility of the software vendor, it is the responsibility of the software manufacturer to give you adequate security, and that is their responsibility. So why are you denying that? So if you're getting security for the work, for the money what you're paying, which is much higher the security what you're getting, it's better to get a legitimate legal software to be installed and be safe, and leave this particular burden on that software manufacturer for any security breaches. They are with you if any security breach do take place. Yes, yeah. I think yes, definitely, because I think today's systems are more AI based, and I think with the AI based systems, we can have a lot of intelligent based devices to be created, to be made. And I'm sure that all of the software manufacturers, for having their softwares to be published, to be broadcasted, will definitely have AIs, the intelligence management built into the system, and which I'm sure that having this intelligence system to be embedded in the software will give a dual advantage to the people, not only working on a software which is reliable, authentic, but also working on a software which is having security, which is of paramount importance. I would say prevention is better than cure. So let's not wait for the problem to take place. Before the problem could take place, let's prevent ourselves, because we have the cure with ourselves only. So let's not wait for the COVID to come. By the COVID also, we were saying, take precaution, take precaution. Those who never took precaution became a victim. Of course, some of them also became a victim, but then that margin was very less. Those who did not take a vaccine, I think they became more particular, they become more prone to the corona rather than those who have taken the vaccine. I would say that take a vaccine related to a legitimate software, and you would not be prone to any cybersecurity breaches or cybersecurity, hacks in the days to come. Just like to add little humor to it, whether that antivirus also is a counterfeit or what? Because I think because that brings this one to me, because if it is a licensed version of an antivirus, then I'm sure that it will trigger and it will detect, because the antiviruses also have got their signatures inbuilt. So whenever they find that any type of a spurious or a counterfeit software has been used, I'm sure that they will raise the trigger. They will raise an alert. Okay, there is such type of a spurious or a counterfeit software is there in your system. But yes, 1% of the chance I go with you, and I go with the gentleman who asked this question. If there is any advent wherein, in spite of the best practices you have, in spite of the best of the intrusion detection systems you have, the best of the firewalls you have, still is it possible that both of them work similar and you will not be, the answer is yes. But my perception is that the probability is very less. And where the probability is less, I feel that our effort should go on the masses rather than going on very few, one or two, cases where such type of incidents may do happen. But if it does happen, then yes, organizations are at a higher risk. In fact, I would always say about, my best practice, my best principles. I always insist on telling the people to whom I correlate to, these programs are basically TSR, terminate and stay resident programs. You just have a look at what are the programs which are running in the background. And I'm sure that the original software and the counterfeit software, the signatures will be vividly different. And there the differences could be noted by the end user itself. So let's not depend all the time on those antivirus and firewall itself. Sometimes we have the decisions at our end itself. If you have got some set of softwares which should be starting at the execution of your system, if there is any type of a program which is different, I think you can make a way that, okay, some alarming signal has to come to your network or it has come to your machine, wherein you can then start taking a precautionary actions.